There is a certain scenario that our parents passed on to us, which our grandparents preached, and which supports every commercial with a shining car against the sunset. This scenario says, the car is your face. It's the main marker of adulthood, a symbol of success, and your golden ticket to the middle class. We are told that paying a loan for your car is reasonable because you invest in your comfort, and taking a taxi or bus is wasting money by paying for someone else's profit instead of your asset. We have absorbed this doctrine so deeply that it has become a part of our personality. We feel a deep, almost physical shame if we don't own a car by the age of 30, as if we couldn't get started, as if we were financially illiterate children who refused to grow up. As a result, we panic and buy cars that we can barely afford. We stretch our debts to the limit, convincing ourselves that we are making a smart financial move simply because there are keys in our pocket and ownership papers in the glove compartment. We confuse possession with stability and debt with success. In reality, this mindset often traps us in years of payments, stress, and reduced freedom, all for the illusion of progress. But I'm here to tell you that for millions of people in today's economy, this scenario is a lie. The mathematics has changed, the market has changed, and old financial rules no longer apply the same way. Prices are higher, wages grow slower, and credit is easier to obtain but harder to escape. Blind faith in status on wheels is locking an entire generation in a prison of debt, stress, and permanent cash shortages, all in exchange for temporary comfort and social approval. Your car is not an asset. This is a massive consumer product bought with debt, which is simply masquerading as an investment. To understand why buying a car is not always a path to wealth, we need to redefine what throwing money away really means. When you use a taxi or car-sharing service, you pay a fixed price for the ride. This money is going away, and it's obvious. But when you buy a car, you are convinced that your monthly loan payment is capital creation. This is a misconception. A huge part of your monthly car expenses is money that will never come back to you. Money that creates exactly zero capital. We call them non-refundable expenses, and they are silent killers of your well-being. Let's break them down point by point. Firstly, it is the cost of capital, namely, the interest on the loan. If you take out a car loan, then in the early years you don't pay for the car, you rent money from the bank. A huge part of your payment is spent on bankers' profits, not on paying off the cost of the hardware itself. Secondly, it is cost degradation, or depreciation. Unlike real estate, which can rise in value, a car is a melting asset. As soon as you leave the salon, you lose up to 20% of its value. You are not building wealth. You are watching it evaporate with every kilometer. Thirdly, these are taxes and compulsory insurance. This is a kind of perpetual lease that you pay to the government and insurance companies simply for the privilege of owning this facility. And the fourth is maintenance. The rule is simple. The more expensive your car is, the more expensive the spare parts, oil changes, tires, and unpredictable breakdowns cost. When you put it all together, interest, loss of value, taxes, insurance, and service, you find that the non-refundable cost of ownership is often higher than the cost of using alternatives. You are not building an empire. You just pay another landlord, which consists of a bank, a car service station, and an insurance agent. But the most dangerous trap of owning a car is the lost profit from your down payment. This is the invisible wealth killer that no one mentions when you sign a contract at the salon. That money could have been invested, placed in a high-yield account, or used to build a small business. Over time, it might have grown into a meaningful financial cushion. Instead, it is converted into a depreciating object, quietly costing you not only what you paid, but everything it could have become. To drive a new car worth $3 million, you will most likely have to pay about $600,000 as a down payment. This money is now immured in metal. It becomes dead capital that no longer works for you. It doesn't earn interest, doesn't generate income, and can't be easily accessed in an emergency. It doesn't help you buy groceries, invest, or build financial security. It is simply locked inside a depreciating asset that loses value every year. If you took that $600,000 and invested it in the stock market, which historically yields about 10% per annum, your amount would double approximately every 7 years. By locking money in a car, you are betting that a piece of iron that is rotting and getting cheaper will bring you more benefits than participating in the growth of the global economy. Historically, this is a bet that you lose 100% of the time. We should also talk about liquidity and mobility, which are undervalued assets in today's world. Your car is an anchor that ties you to fixed expenses, maintenance costs, and a specific location. In a rapidly changing economy, the ability to quickly relocate for a better job, lower rent, or new opportunities is a huge financial advantage. Being flexible allows you to adapt, save more, and make smarter long-term decisions instead of being locked into one lifestyle. If you are offered a position in another city with a salary twice as high, the mobility tenant will simply close the app in his phone and leave. The owner of the car in the loan is trapped. He needs to sell cars, often in a hurry and at a huge loss, close debts and pay commissions. Transaction costs can destroy your savings overnight. By buying a car, you are actually betting against your own freedom of maneuver. You're betting that your current position is the best you can achieve in the next 5 years. If you make a mistake, the cost of exiting this bet will be brutal. Using a taxi or car sharing gives you optionality. And in an unstable world, optionality is worth any amount of money. Now I can already hear the main objection, which many of you are ready to write in the comments. But Ben, taxi and car sharing prices are constantly rising, and my loan payment is fixed. It's true. A fixed loan may seem like a protection against inflation. But remember, as long as your payment to the bank remains the same, everything else is not. Gasoline prices are rising. Insurance premiums skyrocket due to the risks and cost of spare parts. The cost of a standard hour at a car service is creeping up along with general inflation. You are not protected from price increases. You are just exposed to them from the other side. And while the cost of travel is rising, the stock market, where you invest the money you save, is also growing. If your investment portfolio, built on the difference between the cost of owning a car and the cost of a taxi, adds 7 to 10% per year, it is likely to significantly outpace any inflationary jumps in the transport sector. You use your growing assets to pay for your lifestyle, instead of making your lifestyle, your car, your only asset. There is also a psychological element to this decision that is often ignored. Owning a car is a part-time job. It's weekends spent searching for a service center, waiting in line at the car wash, or dealing with paperwork. It's the constant stress over every new scratch in a parking lot or strange noise from the engine. It is the mental burden of managing a physical asset that is always aging, always wearing out, and always one breakdown away from demanding your time and money. When you give up ownership in favor of use, you buy yourself time and mental space. If a car-sharing vehicle is dirty, broken, or won't start, it's not your problem. You simply press a button and move on to another one. There are no repairs to arrange, no insurance worries, and no unexpected bills. You are trading the dubious pride of ownership for the real luxury of freedom, flexibility, and peace of mind. I'm not calling on you to give up cars forever. Buying can make sense if you plan to own one for 10 years or more, if you live in a remote area with poor public transport, or if you genuinely need it for work or family. It also makes sense if you are simply a car enthusiast and are willing to treat it as a hobby and pay for that pleasure. The key is honesty, understanding the real cost and choosing it deliberately, not emotionally. But don't buy a car because you consider it a necessary step toward success. Do not buy it out of fear of throwing money away on taxis or public transport, while ignoring the far larger amounts you lose to depreciation, interest, insurance, fuel, repairs, and maintenance. Those hidden costs quietly drain your income every month. A car should be a conscious, practical decision based on real needs, not a reflex driven by pressure, habit, or social expectations. The path to wealth is not owning hardware. This is the ownership of assets that generate income, stocks, bonds, and businesses. A car is a thing that you pay for. Assets are what pays you. Don't let the cultural scenario drive you into a dead end. Count the numbers, check the non-refundable costs, And if the math says, don't buy, invest with pride. Build your liquid empire and let someone else worry about changing the oil.